EGM Network.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Lou Ciambriello. I'm a realtor in Indian River County, Florida. And if you don't know where that is, it's in the middle of Jacksonville and Miami on the ocean side. And we have a river running through. It's not just an ocean, but a river. And today's podcast, I brought in some very, very special friends that are experts in the area. We're not financial experts by any means, but we are boots on the ground when it comes to knowing what to do to add value to your sale of your home, or to add value to your home that you're living in, or for buyers and sellers and listing agents, what they would be telling their sellers or their buyers when they're looking to purchase a property. So without further, without talking about me too much here, I'm going to introduce David Gagnon. Please tell us about yourself, David.
Thank you.
And
Thank
something
you.
interesting, please. Okay?
Great to be here. Great to be here.
Thank you.
I've been in the business for 20 years. Love what I do. It's
It
been
shows.
a great experience, with meeting different people and different situations in life. And when I'm not doing real estate, I'm usually on the water boating or going to the gym or
It's a rough
listening
life.
to some kind of a music.
It's a rough life. I'm
doing
sorry.
some kind of a musical thing.
Oh, and music too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to do community theater years ago, back when
This is my
in the
community
90s.
theater now.
Yeah.
I'm a late starter.
Yeah.
Go ahead. And Chris Junker.
Yes. So I've been in town for 10 years selling real estate, sold over 600 homes now. So consider myself a top producer.
You are.
And as far as who I am outside of real estate, big soccer fan, into Inter Miami and Lionel Messi. And I've been going to some games down there, a little bit of a jog from here, but I go. And a little like David, I used to sing in the band, and we'll just leave it at that.
Okay. And then, of course,
Oh, we have pictures of that too.
Yeah, we got evidence.
I'm John King. I'm the broker owner of Remax Crown Realty. I've been in the business for quite some time, a little over 20 years, and I also grew up in the business. So this has really been my life for quite a while.
So we're going to be talking today about smart money moves, and they're going to be talking about smart money moves for buyers, smart money moves for sellers, and also if you're going to stay put in your home, maybe we're going to be giving you advice on how you can make your money, get more the bang for your buck. What is that called? That's called the look for less. Okay, so let's start out with when you're working with buyers, John. What's the first advice you give them? What's the first conversation, your opening conversation with them?
The first conversation that I like to give buyers when I'm working with them is obviously we've got to establish what the budget is and make sure that they're pre-approved and that they are actually able to purchase a home. But really, the biggest thing for me has always been setting up the wants from the needs. Okay, and then trying to help them create that list of, you're never going to get exactly what you want, but there's certain things in a house that you need, like a certain amount of bedrooms if you have children and that kind of stuff. And maybe you don't have the right countertops or cabinet colors, but those are all things that can be changed.
Yeah, they can be
as
changed.
time goes on.
And you can adjust those. And how about you, Chris? What's your first conversation with your buyers?
I think it's their story, where they're coming from. If I find if they're an out-of-stater coming to Florida for the
Reading
first
the
time,
room, yeah, I'm reading the room.
or if they're already in town but just looking to upsize, downsize,
Mhm.
and then obviously things like, are they pre-approved? What's the strategy? Oh, you need to sell your house before you buy the next
We
one.
love those people.
It's really important to know that up front before you chase down, showing them 50 houses and they haven't sold their house.
And how about you, David?
I think just to take off from where Chris left off on that same subject, people, have to sell before they buy. It's an intricate conversation sometimes. They're afraid to be homeless, but at the same time, if they need the proceeds from their current sale,
It's a balance. It's a
we have
balance.
to do
It's really,
kind of like
yeah.
a
I know.
piggyback.
It's a balance when we
sell
get
by.
buyers that need to sell their home in order to buy a home, and I can't stand simultaneous closes, but they're far too often
many of them.
we have them. Okay, so let's talk about how you manage expectations. So you were talking, John, about the must-haves, and then there's also you want to have it, but do you really need it kind of thing. So how do you handle that?
So it's important to, like I said, we have to establish a budget, and it's not necessarily just what you can afford, it's what you should spend. So a lot of times people will come in and say, okay, I'm pre-qualified up to 500,000. And I say, well, that's great, but once we go over the expectations and the wants and even the needs that you have in the house, great, I can get you something for 400. So, I'm always looking down. I never put a basement to any kind of a search on that.
It's because we want them to be able to go to Starbucks and get a cup of coffee.
Sure.
So,
It's important to live a life.
really and truly, it's a big deal. And how about you, Chris? What do you do?
As far as
Suggesting when they're looking for homes, when they come in and they want to purchase a home and they give you their budget,
Right.
You've read the room, you know where they are, you know they're going to go out with you, and you know they're going to buy. So, and you have a relationship with them now
Right.
because you've been with them for a bit.
Right.
So where do you go from there?
I would say, I don't want to dive off into another direction, but I do like to start these days, especially with the high interest rates, at looking at new construction.
Yeah, I
feel
agree.
like it's a no-brainer for some folks to go in that direction, especially if they're first-time home buyers. There's incentives there where if you use the builder's lender, they'll pay your closing
And
costs.
new is new. New is new.
New is new. And even
Yeah.
if you're in that
Yeah.
kind of starter home price range of $350 to $450, you can get an FHA loan and buy a house for the cost of a vehicle.
I know.
They will cover your closing costs. They will buy down your interest rates below 5% these days.
Right. And do you have a conversation with them, Dave, about about watching how they spend?
Yeah, I think it's very important. If you have some like FHA buyers that are just minimally qualified, I think it's important to have that conversation about watching their credit during the mortgage time frame from
Exactly.
the contract to closing.
Exactly.
Very important, especially if they're on the line. I know several people.
We
in the
have that
past
conversation. I try to remind them often, please don't buy anything.
Right. Don't buy the
anything.
furniture
Yeah.
for the house on credit.
Don't do anything. Don't do anything yet. Okay, so let's talk about if you're listing a property for the seller, what if they had $1,000 and that's all they had to spend? But I know all of us here chip in, which is that's a secret. We don't like to tell that. But if they only have $1,000, what do you suggest that they put their money into, John?
So that's going to be house specific. So, depending on what you walk into as to what needs the most correction, cleaning is a big thing. That really shouldn't cost anything. That's just really time. But I've always been a big fan of houses that have a great curb appeal. So we're talking landscaping, fresh mulch, pressure cleaning, and that kind of stuff. When a buyer walks up to a home, they either want to like it or they don't want to like it, before they even go inside. And that's largely based on just the curb appeal.
You want to get them in the door. And
Yeah.
if it looks schmuggly on the outside, they
don't even want to
they don't want to
go
go in
in
through the door. And how about you, Chris? If they have $1,000, where would you put it? I know you're
pretty,
very
pretty
generous.
similar. I mean, I tend to be the guy who comes and brings 30 bags of mulch, and it's red mulch because I want it to pop,
Yeah.
and pressure washing if necessary. If not, I'm out there with the broom. If it's somebody elderly or out of state, brooming off the back
I
door
know.
and the windows.
People ask why I have a blower in my car.
That's right.
Yeah.
Blowing out the driveway, and then
Never
kind
know.
of maintaining that level of maintenance throughout the listing. Because nowadays, at the moment, we know that listings sometimes can sit on the market a little bit longer.
A little bit longer,
You don't
right?
want to be the agent that 1 or 2 months into a listing, you haven't visited the property and there's leaves all over the driveway or the front porch after a storm. So
Well, I
if
check
they're
my
not home,
houses
you're
every
maintaining
day.
it.
I check my homes every day, but I'm local. I don't. You guys go all over. Mary Lou just stays in the North County, but I check my empty properties
But
every
just
day.
like John said,
Yeah.
I mean, the other minor things you might do are if you've got a lot of artwork and things on the walls, when you take them off, you got a bunch of nails, and when you remove those nails, you have 1 million nail holes in your house. If you can just have somebody affordable, or if you're handy enough, patch those holes and do some touch-up paint. Not saying paint the inside for thousands of dollars, but possibly match the paint and do a little touch-up. It
Exactly.
can go a long way, well under $1,000.
And how about you, David?
Yeah, I think paint is a big thing.
I think paint's really great.
People say, well, they're going to choose the color they want anyway, but it's about initial appearance.
And it cleans.
Initial impression.
And it smells good.
Yeah, it smells good. It smells fresh. They can
yeah.
always change the color later, but if
Exactly.
it's a modern, day color that people like anyway, chances are they may even keep it.
And it's really interesting. So now, John, if you could travel back in time, okay, when you were a young guy and you bought your first, and you're still a young guy, which is really, kind of makes me feel sad that I'm not a young
get older
guy
every day.
or a young woman. But anyway, if you could travel back in time, what would you tell your younger self, your first-time home buyer self, if you were buying a home?
Okay, so my first home, I actually built it because I'm pretty
course.
particular of
Okay.
of the layout and everything, and I have a great relationship with a lot of builders. So my first purchase was actually a lot, And my father gave me great advice that I did not take, because the
He was
front
your
of the
father.
it
That's
was
why.
the front of the property faced to the east, so the back porch. And I love being outdoors. I love being on my back porch, and the back porch faced west. So about 6-7 months out of the year, it was completely unusable. I built a beautiful deck out there that just sat because it was just way too hot all summer.
Okay, and same question to you. What would you do? What would you tell your younger self if you could go back in time and you on your first property that you purchased?
Well, I was lucky in a way that I was like 27 years old.
Good
when
for
I bought
you.
my first home.
Mhm.
I saved a long time, lived at home to do that.
Lucky
A long
parents.
time.
They were happy to have you.
We get along well. And so they knew what my goals were. And I was able to do that
That's
because
nice.
of them.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
I had great
yeah,
parents as
yeah,
well.
yeah. Yeah, good.
So what would
Yeah.
you tell your younger self? Just
Oh,
save money?
Well, yeah, save as much money as you can. Don't get caught up into today's world of being, footloose and fancy free
Exactly.
with spending. It's going to pay off in the long run. And, build yourself up. I worked since I was 16 years old, mowing lawns when I was 11.
It's
you know.
it's important, with
Yeah.
work ethic is everything,
Yeah.
and it shows
Yeah,
in
you
your
know,
real estate. And
I'm
how about
saying
you?
Good
Go
things
ahead.
come to those who wait.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm a good waiter. Damn, I'm good at that. And I either waiting on tables or just
Yeah.
general
There you
waiting.
go.
Okay, and Chris, how about you? What would you tell your younger self
Yeah,
if
so
you were
I would tell
purchasing?
myself if I was back, say, 25 or 30 years old, not buying a house yet or about to, that 10 years goes by much faster than you realize when you're 20. You think, every year
Yeah.
feels like forever. But honestly, by the time life happens to you, you blink and you were 25, now you're 35. You blink and then you're going to be 45.
Prime example
And,
right here.
and so the first thing I would tell myself at say 25 is do everything you can to save up enough money for a down payment on a home. Even if it means it's an FHA loan and you only saved up 3.5%, and you went and bought new construction, they covered your closing costs. Figure out a way to get $15,000, back then probably $8,000,
Mhm.
and just own something. Instead of paying a landlord, pay yourself and get your equity built up in a home, and that will pay off, in spades for the next decades of your life. But if you don't get started, it's like every
It's not
investment
going to
you
happen.
make.
Yeah.
You're playing catch up the rest of your life.
But the thing, you can build wealth. I mean, it's always exciting for me when I have young buyers that really understand that they can build wealth and they really get the process. For my husband and I, we bought our first building. I was 19, okay, and I had to go to the bank to borrow $1,000 so I could afford the closing costs. And then the huge mistake I made was that we had 3 pages of violations on the property, and we didn't know about it. We bought an apartment building, and I would tell you to check for those things because it's not nice to have to appear in front of the board of people and beg for mercy so that you could make those repairs. So that's what we had
Absolutely.
to do.
And some of that you wouldn't know as, say, a 19-year-old, but that would be then the next
Yeah.
clue in, which is make sure you're working with an
there's no cure for
experienced
stupid.
realtor.
Yeah,
that
I know.
gonna
That's
get
why
you through
I
all
didn't
the
have a realtor.
issues.
But there was, it was quite an experience. It was quite an experience. And why should buyers and sellers work with a local agent? I mean,
The
it's
exact
an
reason
obvious.
Chris just laid
it's
out
just
there, which is a prime example.
It's an example.
That we as realtors, we're licensed in the entire state of Florida. So I could go sell something in Tallahassee. I could go sell something in Key West. Does that mean that I know the real estate market and all the ins and outs of owning property in Tallahassee? No, not at all. I don't know if there's pending special assessments that are coming in. I don't know that there is they're going to put a landfill on a specific site, and here you're selling a house right beside it. So, you have to have that local knowledge. You need to know all the ins and outs of the local economy and housing market. And a prime example of this, my parents, quite a few years ago, they were trying to buy a house down in the Keys, and we have the MLS system, we have the licenses, we have everything to do that. And my dad looked around for a little bit. He called up the local Remax broker down there and said, I just want to be represented. I don't want your commission. I don't want a referral fee. I don't want anything. This is what I like. This is the lifestyle that I'm looking for. Please help me. And her name's Joanne Cook. She did a fantastic job.
And that's what people need to understand, because we do specialize, and real estate is so very local. It can even be local within the community, whether whether it be Indian River County or just in the area. But I myself just specialize in the North County. Okay, let's take a little break now, and then we're going to talk about what we think sellers should be doing. What do you think?
All right.
You ready?
Okay.
Okay.
Hi there, Mary Lou Ciambriello again. I have a few tips for you. Those of you that live in Bureau Lake Estates or in Sebastian, you should be getting these on a regular basis. These are my postcards. So I wanted to give you some tips on what you could do with my postcards. First of all, you can do this. You can take this and you can throw it out, or you can do the right thing, and that would be to recycle it. Secondly, it's a little far, it's a little hot. You can always use it as a fan. Or you can be like my girlfriend, Linda, and she thinks she's funny, and she sends me a picture every time she gets a postcard, and she uses it as a placemat. You get enough of them, you probably have placemats. But more importantly, I have a proven track record. These are all the homes that I've sold. Whenever you get this postcard, you'll notice there's different homes on here. So if you're looking for a realtor, the purpose of this card is for you to keep it, and when you do need a realtor, give me a call. Thank you so much. You have the best day ever, and it is a little hot in here. Have the best day. Ciao for now.
I want to switch gears just a little bit here, and I want to find out Chris, what is your favorite? What would you recommend people that are new to the area? Where do you send them? Do you send them to a park? Do you send them to a restaurant? Do you have a special place that you recommend?
I mean, if you're really not, you have no idea what you're doing, and you pull up to, say, Vero Beach or Sebastian,
Mm-hmm.
I think the first place you need to go is the beach, and realize that you don't pay for parking here. It's you don't have that big city
That's the same
mentality
for our
where it
airport.
takes you 20 minutes to drive around and find a place to park.
Mm-hmm.
Just the pace of life here is so wonderful. The other things you've got are the spoil islands and the intercoastal, where you can kayak out there. You can't do that first day with someone who just drove to town. But if you can just show them a taste of what's out there, the riverfront in Sebastian, where you've got restaurants that you can just stroll up to, sit there, have a beverage, and watch the dolphin go by. I mean, how many places can you do that?
You can throw the food out.
And not feel like you're doing it near a big marina or some big, dirty, busy place.
It's a very different lifestyle here that
Absolutely.
I think people, and how about you, David?
I think people are finding that out. That's why they want to come here.
I know.
A
I
lot
wish
of
they,
people
as much as I like to sell real estate, I wish they'd forget that.
Yeah, you still have, big city things like, Riverside Theater and the
Which is
Museum
wonderful.
of Art.
Mm-hmm.
So there is culture here,
Mm-hmm.
besides the lifestyle that Chris was referring to. So people come for all different reasons.
Well, we have that great magazine or that great handout that comes out once a month with everything that you can do, and it's loaded with things to do. Yeah. And how about you, John?
Yeah, pretty much exactly what these guys said. Whenever you meet a buyer for the first time and they're kind of new to the area and they don't know what's going on, like Chris pointed out, you get to know them. Everybody is different. We have great golf courses around here. I am not a golfer, so I can't give you a lot of advice. But if golf is your thing, I can point you in the right direction to go. Check that out. Obviously, I'm an avid boater, and I love the water. And all of Indian River County, whether it's the ocean or
fishing.
the riverfront,
Fishing
is,
well.
I mean, this is paradise. You can go out west of town and you've got all of the old Florida marshes and lakes and bass fishing. You've got the riverfront in Sebastian, like Chris said, with all the shops. You've got the boardwalk area there in Vero Beach, and if you like less people, the North County parks like Golden Sands and obviously Sebastian Inlet.
And it is a different pace here. I remember when I came here, and I'm here 13 years now, I was in Publix, and I had 3 items, and there was a woman in front of me, and her cart was loaded, and she didn't realize that she was in the one, up to 10 items aisle. So she sees me with the 3 items, and the cashier had already started checking her out, and she goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize." And the cashier went, "Ma'am, you're in Sebastian. We don't care. So that's pretty much what it is. They're very, very, very polite. So let's get back to buyers and sellers. So you're doing a listing, and there are things that buyers notice that sellers don't notice. And what do you? How do you handle that when you have to go in and say your house might smell? What do you do, Chris?
It is interesting because folks will live in a house for 10 or 20 years and accumulate things, or even just dust behind things they don't realize is there. And you, as a realtor with a good eye, see these things on the fans. You always see dust.
Fans are disgusting sometimes.
Baseboards sometimes have not been touched in years. And you have to find a polite way to tell them that their house needs a little help without offending them. So, you just point things out and say, we're going to declutter, we're going to depersonalize, and then we're also going to do a little layer of cleaning that maybe you've never done before and never noticed to do.
Didn't you recently clean out a pool for someone?
I helped somebody who was in need. They got into a situation where they couldn't maintain their pool anymore. So
You became a pool man.
And you can always throw money at problems and bring people in, but sometimes you do it on a budget. So there was a moment where I went and bought a wet vac, and we got the pool drained, but it had a lot of stuff in it. So I was down there, hands and knees, bought some rubber boots, and it literally was the guy that was sucking out the last of the slime out the bottom of the pool.
And, David, these are things that they don't realize we do. They think we stick a sign in the ground, say a prayer to God, and ciao Bella, have a nice life without me. The house will sell.
Sell something.
Isn't that the truth? I mean,
we always try to go the extra mile. I go the extra mile, I think, for my elderly sellers that sort of need that
people
direction,
like
or
my age,
family.
Okay, that's
well,
kind
older
of you.
Than that, too.
Wait, I have a story I have to share because it was me and David, and it was a while back. It was a nice house, and my buyer purchased it, and he had the sale. And for some reason, about a week before closing, everything was rolling smoothly. One of the air conditioners had cut off, or something had happened, but the house got a little sweaty inside, and a little bit of mildew had grown on the ceiling. The ceilings were quite high. So like 2 days before closing, I'm over there with like a bleach mop.
Yeah.
And Dave's like holding the ladder, and we're just, and I've got like an extension, and we're just, cleaning up the place, making it nice, and getting the AC fixed.
And you're making your broker proud, by the way. Your broker, you're making your broker
and this was
proud.
years ago.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here laughing because Remax has a lot of commercials on this, national commercials on everything that we do, and Remax agents across the world, they just go above and beyond what any other agent does. All of this stuff, we've all done this. We have done some crazy things to help people out, to make the house presentable, to keep a transaction together. I always joke that I'm going to write a book about all this stuff, and it would be a top seller.
I always say a good realtor fixes things. A great realtor, fixes them before it becomes a problem. If you have a problem, I want to solve it long before it becomes a problem. And so I'm going to talk about what is the weirdest thing that you've ever had to write into a contract when you have a buyer that wants to buy a house, and they have in my particular case, it was the seller that wanted something in the contract. But what is the weirdest thing you've ever had to put in a contract?
On two different instances, I've had to sell a vehicle, one car and one boat with the house.
Did you buy the boat?
I did not buy the boat.
Okay, I'm shocked.
I did not buy that boat. That was actually, believe it or not, that was actually my father. The house that he bought had a little Boston whaler in the garage. And so I was helping with the negotiations on it because it was a little bit personal for him. So he was having me do it. And he wanted the boat. I'm like, what do you need this boat for? I don't like this boat, and you're not going to like the boat. And he paid way more for the house than he should have because he had to have the boat. He ended up selling the boat, I don't know, maybe 2 months later because he realized he didn't like it. The other one, it was an estate sale, and it had a rundown, beat up, don't even know that it ran car in the garage. And my investor just had to have this car. And I'm like, you've just pulled up in here in at the time, probably a $60,000 brand new pickup truck. What do you want this $1,500 car for? And he would not have bought that house without that car. And we had to write it on the contract. I had to go get the VIN number off of it and negotiate it out. And we had to transfer title to the car along with the house. And then he gave it to somebody.
Oh, wow. And how about you, David? What's the weirdest thing?
I can't say I really had a lot of weird ones, other than the
God.
typical being
Come with me.
furniture liquidators and stuff like that. There was a car or two involved over the years, yeah.
Well, and how about you, Chris?
I can't think of anything specific other than just writing in things like post-closing occupancy, where, you love it to be all done and the key is handed over and things are all wrapped up in a bow, but you get somewhere someone has to stay in a house after it's been sold for a whole month, so now they're a tenant in their own house. And you write it in there, and you have a separate lease agreement.
Well, you guys really get easy stuff. I get all
Yours
the crazy.
is great, yeah.
I had somebody that when we were writing a contract when I was selling their home, they had a feral cat that they took care of, and they wanted to make sure that the new buyers would feed the feral cat. So I have a lot of animal stories. I've got a python story too. One day I'll tell.
I had one vacant lot. I don't know that we listed or sold it, but I remember that the owner said if she was going to sell the lot at all, she didn't want a house built on it because it had to go for tortoises.
Well, there you go.
She wanted to protect the tortoises.
And that's an animal story as well. Tortoises are a big deal. So we're going to be upgrading spaces. So I believe that you should be upgrading spaces that you live in. We're talking now about actual people that are staying in their homes and they want to upgrade their spaces. So I think you should do the areas that you live in and that you spend the most time in. So where would you spend the most money, John?
In the kitchen.
Okay.
I
know you like to cook.
Countertops, cabinets, a lot of cabinets, even if you don't like the color of them, they can be painted.
Mm-hmm.
Countertop prices, especially granite, has came down quite a bit over the years.
Now, yeah.
And then you have quartz and you have other options.
Mm-hmm.
And, for the buyers that I work with, that is typically where they gravitate to first. And that's where we spend the most time when we're out looking at homes.
And how about you, David?
Yeah, there's some simple things to do now with these modern urethanes
Mm-hmm.
and coatings and stuff. For budget-conscious people, they can reface their cabinetry
Mm-hmm.
and even reface their countertops.
See, the kitchen doesn't interest me. I know that sounds crazy because I can't cook.
Mm.
No one comes home for my cooking. Right. No one at all. And my husband's a chef, but he has specifics that he wants in the kitchen as well. And how about you, Chris?
Well, the one place that I think people forget about sometimes because it could be hiding behind a shower curtain and stuff is all the grout lines around all the tile in the showers. It's so difficult. If you find the right guy that can do it for you, you'll have him come to every house
you can
list.
call me. I'm really good at grouting.
Right.
I'm grouting.
Much.
I'm a caulking.
Yeah,
I'm
you
an
sandwich
expert
white
in
ground,
that. Yeah.
you thumb it in. Anyone could do it. And then the caulk lines around the bathroom, things like that. Little things that if you don't do them or the owners live there so long they don't notice it, could really affect someone's decision to buy your house or the next one that's got a nice, clean, move-in ready bathroom.
Well, I always deep clean my properties, and not this year, but the year before, I had 2 houses in VLE, and I couldn't get the gunk out of the shower floor. Well, it turned out they never grouted the shower floors. So
that'd be a problem.
It was, so I had to learn how to grout. So I was in there grouting, and it looked really good afterwards, but I couldn't get it out. I brought in pool bleach. I mean, pool bleach kills everything. I mean, everything comes out. Nothing would come out. And then it turned out I went down there to look and see what was going on, and there was no grout in there. So, I mean, it's amazing what we find. And the houses were older. They were built like 2006. Now, here's a personal question. What is the best thing you did in your house, a home improvement you did in your house for under $100 or $100-ish? Okay, have you done something in your home that you're really proud of that didn't cost you anything? Obviously, you would have to put in the labor, but go ahead.
I mean, it sounds a little expensive if you do the whole house, but minimally, brand new front door, either handle or knob. Just because a lot of times when you walk into a house, it's been there. And in Florida, we've got the humidity. It always shows corrosion. Any metal doorknob. I try to get all my listings to do the same thing. But
and
that's within,
I like
within
the doorbell
a budget.
To work. That's another thing.
Yeah.
That's always annoying to me when I hit that, and I can't stand those doorbells
Right.
either.
So a few knobs goes a long way.
Yeah. Okay, and how about you?
Curb appeal, pressure washing the driveway.
Big deal.
And a big thing. And the house, it's got a lot of sprinkler stains on it from iron water.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Curb appeal is, you can't get them in the door. You can't sell the house,
Right.
you know. And how about you, John?
I like to go through my house. I actually just redid this a couple weeks ago, but I do it on my listings as well. The lights. Go out and change the light bulbs to a nice, very bright one.
And they all
because
should
people-
match.
They all should match.
I go
and people
crazy
don't
with
like
that.
dark homes. So when they snap on a light, you want it to really illuminate. Now, they probably take a lot of those out after closing, but it really makes the house
I
show
have a
better.
light bulb collection. I actually have a box of light bulbs that I bring to my listings, and they all need to be. If you have 5 lights, they all need to be the same light.
I've got the bin too, and I just go buy new ones because I'm not going to sit there for an hour and figure out which ones are yellow, which ones are natural light.
Yeah.
Go up and spin the fluorescence to see when they
This time I wrote it on the box with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
Living room.
Yeah, I painted, and I'm very proud of this because I'm an older person here, but I painted my guest bathroom in a buffalo plaid. It took me 3 months. It was $100, and let me tell you, it came out amazing. It's just, and I think it cost me $87 to do the whole thing. It's beige because I'm married to the beige man. He doesn't like anything but beige in the house, so the only color in my home is in my closets. But that's what I did, and it really came out beautifully. And I'm afraid that if I ever sell my house, they're going to paint over that. It's going to break my heart. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is, oh goodness, where am I?
We're running a little short on time.
Oh, are you running short on time? Okay. Guys, first of all, I want to thank my guests. They're really wonderful people. And if you're looking to buy or sell a home, I recommend them highly. If you don't want to call me, it's okay. I'll survive. But they are wonderful, wonderful people. And I wouldn't have them on my show if they couldn't do it. And also after this, I do run a PSA. It's very important to me and a lot of other people whose lives have been affected by it. So please take a moment it's really 20 seconds long. Please take a moment to watch it. And if you can, spread the word and do what you can to stop this horrible crime. Thank you so much. Have the best day ever. Ciao for now. Until next time. Thank you. Thank you guys, really.
No problem. Thank you.
Searching for a pet-friendly home with style? Welcome to 115 Briarcliff Circle in Sebastian, located in Ashbury, a gated community, and the monthly HOA is just $84. Be sure to review pet restrictions for breed and pet size.